Hello everybody and welcome to Going for Goldbridge. This is not our Christmas special, but it definitely does have a Christmas theme. So we're going to be taking some of your questions, but also I'm going to be talking to you about some of my most eventful Christmas parties. Some would say / worst Christmas parties, but I'm sure we've all been there. But I just want to say as well, a little bit topical to start off with. We were saying a couple of weeks ago how it's too early to put your Christmas tree up in the middle of November. I think we've now flipped the coin, haven't we? Because we're into the start of December. A lot of people have their Christmas trees up, and we've now flipped the coin to the miserable gits who don't put their Christmas tree up yet. So I've spoken to a few people and they've been like, oh, I don't put mine up until the 12th for the 12th day of Christmas. Other people saying, I don't put it up until the week before. I even know somebody who said to me the other day, I don't put mine up until Christmas Eve. You know what these people are? These people are the sort of people who, when they're watching porn, they go straight forward to the action bit, the release shot, the bit where they're going at it. You know, enjoy it. Enjoy December, enjoy your Christmas, and much like a porno, you know, watch the start at the bit, the interaction. Yes, it's a bit cringe, and that rhymes with something else that happens in a porno, but it's, you know, enjoy that little bit of flirtatious, the foreplay. You'll get it's a lot more rewarding, and it's only here in December. Porn's available all year, by the way. But let's fly into it then. We are going to be taking some of your questions, and I think most of them do have a bit of a Christmas theme. In fact, Nicole from United She Stands says, favourite Christmas song, Mark? My favourite Christmas... I'll tell you what I'm really liking at the moment, because I think it is sentimental as well. A song that I'm really liking at the moment is George Michael, and it's not Wham! It's... It was always Christmas time. Jesus went away. I do believe in peace on earth. And na, na, na. I just quite like that at the moment. But actually, my real favourite Christmas song, I do like Christmas Time by Paul McCartney. I love The Power of Love by Frankie Goes to Hollywood. But look, let me talk about some Christmas parties. We've all been to them. And there's a running theme in this. I want to say it's naughty Goldbridge. In my early 20s, I was an angry young man. And this will surprise a lot of people. I was quite opinionated and liked getting into arguments because, you know, that will shock a lot of people. So, but no, probably I'm still like that. But I used to model myself on someone like Liam Gallagher when I was younger, you know, just gobby. So there's a running theme here. And the first one I want to talk about was in my early days in the police, and the Christmas party I'm going to talk about was just a bad idea. I don't think they ever did it again after this year. They used to call it the 999 Christmas do. So there was nurses there, there was police there, and there was fire service there. Now, some of my best friends are in the fire service. Some of my family members were in the fire service, and I actually was considering going in the fire service before I went into the police service. So I've got no issue with them at all, but traditionally there is a bit of competition between the police and fire service, and this was definitely prevalent when I was in there. So we're at this Christmas do, everyone's having a good time, and I was in the toilet, and just so happened there was a few of the lads I was with were in the toilet, and we came out the toilet and it's all going off on the dance floor. And basically what had happened is there was two people on my shift who were together. They weren't two men, it was a man and a woman, but that would be fine anyway, Diversity Street. And basically what had happened is he was dancing with his missus, and one of the fire service guys had sort of tried to break them up, and it started anyway. By the time we got in there, it was all getting broken up, but it ended up with this scenario where two people, they were on one side and we were on the other, and security was in the middle, and it was all rah, 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 rah. I always quite like a cutting line, so I was like, I basically just shouted across, why don't you all just get back to bed or go and play on your PlayStation, you lazy shits? And it went off again, because this is like a red rag to a bull to a fire service, because basically, if you're in the police and you're working nights, you never stop. There's always stuff to do. Of course, people are always burglaring or drink driving or, you know, fighting. But if you're in the fire service and there's no cats to save, that's a joke. That's a joke. You see, I'm winding them up already. If you're in the fire service and there's no job to do, it's fine to go to sleep, to watch a film or play on your PlayStation. So by saying get to bed or go and play on your PlayStation, it winds them up, which is just what I used to like to do. So it all kicked off again, and we ended up being told to go. And actually we went off to another club and had a great night. But I just want to say that I do have total respect for the fire service. I know a lot of people are in it. I wanted to do it myself. But there is a running theme here in this show today where I used to say things to wind people up to try and win an argument, even if it had the possibility of causing a fight. For example, example number 2, I was living in Dublin, and I was working in life insurance, and there was people who, the brokers there were just very, you know, none of the lads I worked with liked the brokers, because the brokers were the ones who earned a little bit more money. Salespeople were, you know, just up their own arse a bit. So we're at this Christmas do, and actually this Christmas do was the sort of the one where it clicked with me and the missus, because we worked at the same place, you see, and we'd worked together for a few months, but it was that night where we really got chatting and everything and got on. Anyway, one of the brokers was just winding everybody up because he was just being really, buying everybody a drink, trying to crack on with all these women and stuff. And as we left to go onto a club, my mate, who actually is also my best man, walks past this particular broker who's about our age, so he was the youngest one, right, really up his arse, really smarmy. And as he walked past him, he went, wanker, right? But what happened is, he waited 10 yards for my mate to have walked past towards the door to turn and go, what did you say? Which it really riled me, because I was like, he called you a wanker. You know he called you a wanker, but you've waited for there to be a safe distance to act all hard and go, what did you say? Which means my mate has got to turn around and come back to you to start something, really. So I thought it was a little bit cowardly. So I was stood there and I went, well, he called you a wanker, mate. Wanker. And I just walked off, and that was it. And I felt quite happy with myself for that. Anyway, we go downstairs onto the street. He's obviously gone to get some of his mates, because he comes out and goes, what did you say? So he's waited for me. He could have had a word with me there and then, but he's not. He's waited for me to walk out on the street while he go and gets his mates, his backup, to come out and have a word with me on the street. So there's me and my mate who've called him wanker. And he goes, what did you say? And I went, what's your problem? Do you need a hearing aid? You're a wanker, mate. He said you're a wanker, and you are a wanker. So he starts going up in my face. But the funny thing is, then it's like, he just wouldn't do anything about it. I actually remember saying to him, look, if you're going to grow a pair, throw a punch. If you're not, I'm off to a club. And he was still like that. Anyway, it was never going to go anywhere. But then my other mate comes down, sees what's going on, and just grabs him and pins him up against the wall, and then it did go off. But the funny thing is, it was one of those fights like you see on Love Actually between Hugh Grant and Colin Firth. There was never a punch thrown. It was just sort of pushing and shoving. But there's a running theme here, isn't there? There's a running theme. And the great thing about Christmas parties, I think, is that some people just absolutely love their Christmas party, don't they? I don't know whether you've worked in these offices or anything like that, but you come back from January, to work in January, and people are already, I've booked the Christmas party for December, I need your deposit. I'm like, shut up, I haven't even had my Easter eggs yet. So I just think there's something about Christmas parties that I used to look forward to them, and now I just think, because it's one night of the year, and it feels to me like people, it's the one night they can say to the partners, oh, I've got to go out because it's the Christmas party, and then they get a sniff of a shandy and everyone's acting like an idiot. And I think that's why there's I've got so many stories about Christmas parties. But what I would say is that I do not condone violence or anything like that on a Christmas party. And as I said, I was just a gobby young man in those days. And I look back on it and just think, in some way, they're a bit cringe. Christmas was a bit cringe, isn't it? Christmas parties are a little bit cringe. But I've always had this ability to... be a bit of a fire starter, I suppose, with my mouth. I remember actually another Christmas do down the local pub, and I think we've all got a local pub, haven't we? And at Christmas they're always rammed, aren't they? People come home, or family do's, whatever. And the local was always very, very busy when I used to go back home. And I'd just come out the toilet again. Weak bladder when I'm on the beer, you see. And my stepdad was sort of getting into this argument with a couple of people, and I didn't even know what it was all about, but the pub was packed, so I went over there just to stick your nose in, as you do, and I'm sort of trying to listen to what it's all about, and even to this day I don't even know what they were arguing about. And all I remember is this woman says to my stepdad, why don't you just wind your neck in? And I was like, why don't you just shut up and go and get a baby sham, love? Anyway, lo and behold, her husband's there. See, again, another cutting line. You don't need to be violent. You're just a cutting line that really undermines them. Anyway, it's her husband next to him, and he goes, who are you? Who are you? I'm going to knock your head off in a minute if you're not careful. So my stepdad says, well, you have to go through me to get to him. So they start going off on each other, and I said, this guy just happened to look like Father Ted. He was, and I went... shouldn't you be on the telly, Father Ted? Anyway, he did throw his punch then, and it all went off. And again, but it was in a packed pub. It went absolutely off. Like everyone was at it. That got me barred for a year. But it's a funny old time, Christmas, isn't it? Peace and love to all, I say, because I don't have great experiences with Christmas parties as well. And what I want to just say something very, very seriously as well. Another time, these all happened in my early 20s, by the way. There's a definite link between the old B-Tech Liam Gallagher wannabe that I thought I was in my early 20s. There was another time, and this was totally unprovoked. We were out at Christmas in Nottingham, actually, and we were at one of these comedy clubs where I always think it's a bad idea. I don't know whether to do it anymore. So you watch a comedy club, you watch a stand-up thing, you're all sat around these tables, you're ordering drinks, and then as soon as the stand-up finishes, they remove all the tables. You stood there with jugs of beer on the edge of the dance floor, and everyone starts dancing. So you're just quickly drowning your drink. Anyway, my mum's having a good time. She's going round. I don't know what she was up to. She's having a great time anyway. And apparently, what she was doing, she was going around all these people pulling the shirts out the back. I mean, she's probably around, at that time, she's probably in her late 40s. Anyway, the most unbelievable things happen. I'm dancing with the other half and, keeping an eye on everything. And the next thing I know, I look over and my mum's sort of getting into a bit of an argument with one of these lads who's about my age. God, I don't know what it's all about. And he does one of these face pushes on my mum. Like, pushes my mum in the face like that and she falls back. And I'm like, I'm already walking over there, but in my head I'm like, I can't get my head around that. Who does that? Who does that to a woman? Anyway, I went over there, grabbed hold of him, and he had about 5 or 6 mates, and all I remember is sort of being knocked to the floor, and then all these kicks and everything coming in, and then being taken out by the bouncers. And I got took out by the bouncers, and we're in this corridor. My stepdad's there, my brother-in-law's there, and they're like, do you need to go to the hospital? I'm like, I'm fine. I'm absolutely fine. And my shirt actually had a blood footprint on it and had blood splattered absolutely everywhere. All I'd done is my watch had gone off my arm. I had no physical injuries at all, so I don't even know what had happened. But what happens is my sister did get knocked over in it all and ended up falling on a glass, and she's got like a big scar on her leg. So, there's your message there. Don't get involved in fighting and stuff like that, because people can get seriously hurt. But I didn't used to have much experiences with Christmas parties that were very good. So you know what I do now? I just get a Tesco shop in, a nice big value pack of Doritos and 4 cans of Krabbies, and I just sit and listen to Christmas songs on YouTube. It's the safest way, because I can only fall out with myself. Anyway, let's take up some of your questions. Get in the comments with some of yours. If you want to get your Christmas jumpers as well, by the way, the 5 Cantonars one, I've dropped a link in the video description. We have been selling them for about the last month on the United Stand, but I thought, actually, you can get them here if you want. So let's have a look at some of your questions. Did you ever think you'd be this successful once you started, says Roshan? No. What an arrogant question. What an arrogant answer I could give there. Yeah, I had no followers, no subscribers, but I knew from starting YouTube I was going to do well. Because I'm brilliant. No, I didn't. I just thought, give it a try. What was your worst Christmas present ever, says Dave's LFC Chats. Worst Christmas present ever. Gosh. That should be a show in itself. I'm going to do that as a show in itself, Dave. That's the title of a video in itself. So yeah, I think I've got to do that. I may have done it before actually, but I have got to do that. Favourite part of a Christmas dinner? I've been asked this before. Hanal Dar. It's, for me, the stuffing. I've said that before. I think I said it the other night when I was doing my Instagram story. The stuffing for me, especially my favourite apricot and hazelnut stuffing, is absolutely superb. Would you live in an island without any Wi-Fi, family, friends, social media, etc. for 12 months and your reward is 15 million, says Abdel Malik. No, I wouldn't. Because I'm one of those people that thinks, money's useful, but I ain't going to sacrifice family, friends and Wi-Fi for 15 million. I mean, probably drop the Wi-Fi off, family and friends and that, for 15 million. You're losing a year of your life. It's a prison sentence, isn't it, to get 15 million out? Which actually is what a lot of criminals do. They'll go to prison and hide their money for when they come out. So that's, that is effectively what a lot of criminals do. Is Die Hard a Christmas film? 100% yes it is. Daniel Cohen, for me, Die Hard is always in my top 3 watches for Christmas. In fact, if I can ideally fix it, I watch Die Hard on Christmas Eve, but it's hard because if you're away at families, you can't just say, you enjoy your games of charades and your Christmas chat, I'm off to watch Die Hard, so I never normally watch it on Christmas Eve, but Die Hard for me is 100% a Christmas film. It's set on Christmas Eve. There is it's at a Christmas party. It's a Christmas film. I think people just don't like the fact that there's death and terrorism, but Diversity Street, things can happen like that on Christmas Eve. It's a Christmas film for me, 100%. Somebody else has just asked that about Die Hard as well. Somebody else just asked your shittest present, best Christmas song, favourite childhood Christmas present, says Alan Davidson. I've definitely answered this before, so it may well be boring. I mean, there was one present I got, which was a Sega Mega Drive, which was basically the first console I got. And the funny thing is, I don't know why, but we went to buy it from Dixon's in September time. I think it was because it was going to be a popular Christmas present. But I was there when they bought it, which to me baffles me why I was there, because I was a kid. But I was there when they bought it. I think they might have done, go and look over there while we bought it. But I knew they'd bloody bought it. And the funny thing is, my mum likes horses and my stepdad likes football. And in their heyday, when I was a kid, they'd be out a lot, because my stepdad would be out playing football, or especially on a weekend, and my mum would be out down at the stables and stuff. So I would be left on my own quite a bit. Not like when I was 4. I mean, I'm talking like 10, 11, 12, which I know people will say, that's illegal, but it was the 80s. People used to do that. Well, actually, it was the early 90s, wasn't it? So people still used to do that. So I found out where this Mega Drive was in about October. And the great thing is, I'd look forward to weekends when they weren't in, because I mastered the fact that I could get this Mega Drive box, unwrap it, leave it all out, set it up, and play games, and put it all back together again. So I basically used to do this for about 3 or 4 months, and my parents probably don't even know this to this day. I was playing on that Mega Drive for 3 months before I got it, and I became an expert in repackaging. What's your favourite Christmas treat, says Carl Emil Patterson. I like the Quality Street box. I like getting that, and I saw somebody on about this the other day. They said they don't eat the chocolates, they just sniff the box. And I think I just sniff the box. It just we're back on the cringe. But yeah, I do like the smell of the Quality Street box. But there's lots of Christmas traditions. I like having a whiskey at Christmas. I love Krabby's, the alcoholic ginger beer. For me, that's Christmas. So I love the Christmas day down the pub for a quick pint. I love all that. I love it. It's good. It makes you feel good inside. Does Yorkshire pudding belong on a Christmas dinner, says Jack Vale. God, no. 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 No way. No. Who does that? Northerners. It's bloody Northerners again, isn't it? Yorkshire pudding on a Christmas dinner. Yorkshire pudding on a roast beef dinner? Yes. Yorkshire pudding big style with chilli in the middle? Yes. Yorkshire pudding on a Christmas dinner? Look, you just overcomplicate. It's like actually some of my family do this. On Christmas dinner, they have mash and roast potatoes. You've got 2 potatoes. You don't need it. Remove the mash. You've got... For me, I've said this before, you've got your turkey, you've got your stuffing, you've got your roasties, you've got your red cabbage, you've got your carrots, you've got your parsnips if you want, you've got your peas. What else you got? You've got your pigs in your blankets, you've got your ham, you've got your bread sauce, you've got your cranberry sauce. That's enough. You don't need Yorkshire pudding as well. What's the better, Christmas dinner or the leftover tea you have with your turkey sandwiches and all that, says Nathan Footy. I was thinking that as well, Nathan. You can't swamp yourself with your Christmas dinner, because actually one of the best dinners of the whole year is the turkey sandwiches you have on the night, because if you've got a bit of stuffing left, you open your bap up, you put your turkey in, you put your stuffing in, you might even want a bit of your cranberry sauce in there as well, bit of pickle. Lovely. Should Santa be drinking and driving, says Trish Doyle. Trish, it's a good question. If you don't know the answer to that by now, I'm not destroying your Christmas. Most embarrassing Christmas moments, says I'm embarrassed by a lot of those stories I was telling before, actually. But most embarrassing Christmas moments. I can't really think of anything, Nothing. Thankfully, nothing really jumps out at me. I'll have a think on that one. Mark, can you check? Well, I'm not checking while you're blocked on the United Stand. That's not what it's all about. Best Christmas you've had personally, says 6. I think everyone that you have is a blessing, isn't it? Because I think Christmas is, on a serious note, Christmas is a nostalgic time as well. Because whenever I put the Snowman on, the start of it where the piano's playing, do 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 do, I remember watching that in the late 80s as a young boy watching that, and I think back to that time, and I definitely remember like my gran and granddad's house. and the lights and the Christmas tree they had. And for me, nostalgic Christmas, I know this year it seems to be the gold lights everyone's got. We always miss it, basically. I remember the one year when everyone had the red lights outside. I remember the blue lights. Then it was the white lights, and now everyone's having now everyone's got these like gold lights or the yellowy lights. But for me, my favourite lights are the coloured lights, because that reminds me of as a kid. And when I listen to The Snowman when my kids are watching it, it makes me think back to when I was a kid. So, and then you get nostalgic for the people, and Christmas was as a kid yourself, which makes you feel nostalgic, and then the people that aren't here anymore. So Christmas is a very good time, but it's also a very nostalgic time. And I always go down to the grave at Christmas, because I think I've mentioned it before, my oldest brother died before I was even born, so he was only 18 months when he died, so I always go there at Christmas, and that's only his grave is quite close to my granddad's grave, so you've got all that as well. So I think that every Christmas that you have that is important, and I wouldn't say I've got a best one, because I think every Christmas is important, because my kids will look back hopefully on their Christmases the way I look back on mine. So is your favourite holiday Christmas, says Footy Fitbits? Yes, I am a seasonal person. I enjoy my summer holidays. I don't like Easter. I've never liked Easter. I don't mind it, but I don't like it. It's not even a BTEC Christmas. It's rubbish. It's Poundland. Best Christmas special episode of a series, says Corey Pullen. That's a good question. That is a good question. And for me, there's some cracking Only Fools and Horses Christmas specials. Fatal Extraction, I love that Only Fools and Horses episode. Mother Nature's Son, they're just, again, they're nostalgic and they're brilliant. Gavin and Stacey Christmas special this year. Gavin and Stacey Christmas special I really do like. In fact, I'm spending Christmas with my sister and brother-in-law, and they don't watch Gavin and Stacey, and I'm like, well, you've got 3 weeks to watch three series, because we're watching that on Christmas Day night. The Office Christmas specials are very good as well. I always watch them every year. Knowing Me, Knowing Yule with Alan Partridge is quite good as well. So they're some of my favourite. Father Ted Christmas special was very good as well. I like that. And then there's a lot of films that I do watch at Christmas. Die Hard, for example. The Family Man with Nicolas Cage. Nicolas Cage is an infuriatingly crap actor, but he's good in a couple of films, and The Family Man is one of them. And The Rock. There's a lot of stuff that I just bring out around Christmas to watch. In fact, I've got to stop watching stuff like I'm watching at the moment and bin it till January, because there's nothing on the telly in January. So why watch stuff that you can watch in January and focus on the Christmas stuff now? What's your thoughts on deodorant and socks for Christmas, Marks, TJ? Well, what we've done as a family now, and I quite like this, is a lot of the periphery people have been binned. We don't even invite them round for a Christmas drink. We don't send them Christmas cards. They can just get lost. They're the rubbish edge of the family, and we don't want anything to do with them. I'm only joking. What we do is just say, I don't buy presents for my sister. She doesn't buy presents for us as adults. You just buy for kids. So you cut off a lot of the deodorant and crap that you get for Christmas. And I remember certainly, when you're a teenager and into your early 20s, and you're still getting presents off your aunties and your uncles, and it's basically just boots or box of Lynx Africa and stuff like that, and it's like, it's just tat, isn't it? You don't need it. And so I would advise, well, do what you like at Christmas, but I quite like the fact that the presents that I get are from the wife or whatever, and it tends to be good stuff that you want or they know that you need, as opposed to 4 or 5 presents that are just a box of dark chocolate or a bottle of Baileys and stuff like that. What do you want for Christmas this year, says Kenny? I don't know. I've said this before, I've always had a list for Christmas, and I'd list it off. I want FIFA this, I want that DVD, I want that jumper. And this year I've just said, you know what? For me, I just enjoy the Christmas period, and just get me what you think. And if it's tat, just keep the receipt and I'll replace it. Because that's what it should be, isn't it? It makes it a little bit more exciting when you've got no idea what you're going to get. So I've put no requests in, and that will be interesting. Anyway, let's wrap it up there. Nathaniel says, what do you think is the purpose of your life? That's meant to be a depressing point. I mean, look, that is a good question. Probably belongs on a show itself. But I think that the purpose of life, you can send yourself mad thinking about it, and I think ultimately we're here for a short time, not a long time in the whole aspect of the universe, which is massive and never ending. So I think it's about for me, it's about trying to create some sort of legacy with the people that matter to me, I suppose. And I think it would be nice to be sort of remembered by as many people as possible as a good person, because we've all got our faults. Everybody's fart smells. So yeah, I think that's it for me, because it doesn't matter. You're not here forever anyway. So in 100 years' time, will anybody remember anybody? Probably not. So I think it's about those people that you come into contact in your life. When you're gone, will they think good of you? And I certainly have a few people that aren't here anymore, different ages, and I do always think about them in a good light. So I think they achieved, even if some of them were taken too soon, they still achieved that. I look back at them and go, they were good people. Anyway, you're good people. Thanks for watching. Make sure you subscribe if you're new, smash a like on the video, and get in the comments, because I think we've got a good idea for another show from one of our commenters. So I'll speak to you all soon.